saw my last talk that I did for Chamber, you don't need to get involved, so you can relax. I'm not going to go into hypnosis. But I do want to go through a few things today to bust some myths about what you might think hypnotherapy is. So, what I want you to do during this presentation is one thing. Every time I speak, every time something comes on here, I want you to be really aware of how it makes you feel. Okay? We talk a lot about mindset. Mindset is a load of rubbish because behaviour is driven by emotion. It's not driven by thought. So, Holly is helping me. She's going to be my assistant, so Holly, come to the next slide, please. Okay, I'm going to show you a video. I just want you to see on this video, how does it make you feel, and why does it make you feel that way? So I'll start that. Said that was a horrible video. Did it make you feel all nice and fluffy? Chinese New Year, okay, marketing video there for the Coca-Cola. Well, can you just flip to the next slide? Let's play it again. Watch it again, and I'm going to just go over it. So there's a nice green, lovely setting there, and then with these dumplings. He's looking forward. He's looking forward to what's going to happen in the future with his friends on the sexy heat. With that, dumplings up in some beautiful green leaves. We go through the beautiful green countryside to the village. But wait a minute, it's still a little bit worried now. Everybody's connected. He's still a little bit left out. He's looking for his friend, but doesn't know where they are. So we go into the table. And look at the table. It's going to be full of carrots and full of lovely, wonderful things. Still unsure though. And everybody else around is getting worried. We make connection through a bottle of Coke. We drink it, food gets put on the table, everybody connects, and everybody's happy. What's the message that Coca-Cola is trying to tell you? The message is quite simply this. Coca-Cola connects you to happiness. That's simply what they're saying. You didn't get the next slide, Holly. Now, anybody here, it's a hot summer's day. I want you to imagine it's a hot summer's day. You're absolutely gasping for something to drink, and somebody says, would you like some Coke with some ice? How many of you would have that? Yeah? More healthy people, I thought. Okay, now, those people put your hands up, same question. I offer you a carbonated water with sugar, caramel E150D, phosphoric acid, natural flavourings, including caffeine. Hands up, who wants one? That's fine, that's a choice. I'm not here to talk about health choices and stuff like that. What I am here to talk to you about is you are hypnotised every single day. How many people have driven their car and forgotten the journey? How many of you have watched a movie, gone to the cinema, and forgotten all the people who are around you? How many people have been to a concert or listened to music and you've been so into it that you haven't realised you're just in that zone, you're in the flow? Hypnosis is a natural state that we go in and out of every single day. So, Holly, can you go to the next slide? Let's bust some myths. Okay, this guy here, you might be aware of, a guy called Paul McKenna. I was working with Paul last year. And you will be probably aware of Paul McKenna and the fact that he had a show on TV in the 90s, and he's just released a book actually, and he's now doing a lot more around anxiety. He's got a book out in the Daily Mail, doing loads of media at the moment. And I was talking to Paul last week about this, and he said, we need to do more with hypnosis because it works, but most of you don't know about it. So it's not about look into my eyes, look around my eyes now you're asleep. It's a sleep of the nervous system, okay? It's that point where, you know, in the morning when you wake up, you're not quite asleep, but you're also not quite awake. Does everybody know that one? You know, the ruminating thoughts that you get in your head. That's basically our alpha brainwave. It's like putting your computer into safe mode. So I hope you can do the next one. Right, let's bust some myths. Hypnotherapy is mind control. No. It is, in fact, the greatest control that you'll have in your life. Hypnotherapy can make you do silly things. Again, no, it's not about cooking chickens or eating onions and lemons. Okay, when stage hypnotists do that, Darren Brown, Paul McKenna, people like that, those people who do that would already do it anyway. They've been selected. Hypnosis is sleep. As I said, no, you're not asleep. It's a sleep of the nervous system. It's like putting your computer into safe mode so you can get rid of the viruses before you upgrade the operating system. In hypnosis, I may reveal my darkest secrets. Again, no, you're fully in control. And actually, when I work with clients, one of the things that I say is, I focus on getting rid of the feeling, because the feeling drives the behaviour. So if they have a scene that comes up, and they don't want to tell me about that, that's fine, as long as they know what it means. You might never wake up. Well, if that's the case, none of you would be here, because you wouldn't have woken up, so I think we'll got that one. Only gullible people can be hypnotised. How many of you put your hands up for the co-cabinet? Okay, we'll leave it there. Yeah, so when we say about gullibility, when you understand, we're under hypnosis all the time, and our marketing people know this, they know the psychology of how we work. So actually, when you understand what hypnosis is, you'll actually be more in control of when those marketing people are trying to sell you crap that you don't actually need. It's a type of dark magic. I'll come on to this in a second, because there's some other myths around hypnosis and not being in control and that you can take over your mind, and I'll come on to that in a second. Some people are unable to be hypnotised. No. That's not true. However, what this does show is that if you're not willing to go into hypnosis, you're not willing to do it, actually, I can't control anything. So just that actually negates the whole thing that when you're in hypnosis, that you will actually be under my spell. What are your thoughts of hypnosis and why? Just think about that. Okay, so hypnotherapy targets the subconscious parts of the brain. Subconscious being that 80% of everything you are now was programmed into you by the time you were 8. For example, you don't think about walking. You don't think about your heart moving. You don't think of all of that sort of stuff, because if you did, you wouldn't be able to function. So the subconscious mind holds a lot of your programming that you do automatically, both physically and mentally. And this is why when people go, say, for talking therapy, or they know logically that they shouldn't feel the way they do, but they go, well, why do I feel the way I do? I can go into the neuroscience on that, but I won't bore you. The power of suggestion has been used for thousands of years. Actually, it was. And pre a lot of our pharmaceutical drugs, the military used hypnosis in World War II quite a lot when they ran out of morphine. So it's been used for millions and millions of years. It was actually coined, really, hypnosis came from a guy called Franz Mesmer, who started to look at the link between the physical body, how we show up, and the mind. And this is where mesmerism comes from. And this is where some of the things around hypnosis are mesmerising, you know, look into my eyes, look around my eyes. That's where it came from. The benefits of thought to include relaxation and entering this trance state. So when you go to hypnosis, what you actually do is you go to a deep relaxed state, very much like meditation. What that actually does is it shuts down your nervous system, which means you become more relaxed. Because you're more relaxed, we can then access parts of the mind that we might not already be able to do. What was the last one? So there are over 3,000 registered hypnotherapists. Now, one of the problems with hypnotherapy is it's not a regulated industry, which means that you might go and see a hypnotherapist or something like that, and they may have just done an online course. For me personally, I work with and train with one of the leading hypnotherapists in the world, a man called Melissa Peer. Also work with Paul McKenna. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, so that means that I've reached standards of PSA standards. So I'm registered with the CNHC, which means that when you come and see me, whether that be for therapy or whether it be for non-therapeutic things, you can be guaranteed professionalism and standards. What can it be used for? So I'm going to ask the question now, so I'm going to ask Holly if she can just do this. Do you know anybody with anxieties or worries? Just put your hands up. If it's you, if it's anybody else, right? Perfect. Anybody who lacks confidence, right? Who gets nervous on their 60 seconds? I actually worked with somebody from Thrive HR to do their 60 seconds, and they said it was amazing. They can do it now. Fear or phobia? Spiders, flying, yeah? Anybody you know? Sleep issues, insomnia. Who wakes up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Yeah, I'm going to put my hand up. Performance and leadership. This is where I want to really focus on in regards to the chamber. Who has employees that are a real pain in the arse? Come on, we've all gone. Right, but it's really important to understand what's actually emotionally going on. Alright, because most of the stuff that people bring into work has nothing to do with work. Business or life blocks, how many are you hitting all your targets and you're all millionaires and you've got no yachts? Why? Yeah, you got something. I got that. Yeah. My point is, it's everything you think, feel, and act about has already been programmed into you, and you might not even be aware of it. So even as a business owner, if you want to hit that next level, that next market, you might not hit it. And I'll give you an example. I worked with a lady in Rockpool. She's got an aesthetics business, and she wanted to hit her 10k month. She didn't tell me that when she came to see me. She came to me for anxiety. The result of working with me, that she's constantly for the last 4 months hit her 10k target, now she's looking to expand. So this is, we want to go on the woo-woo side of things, this is law of attraction, this is all of that sort of stuff that you might have heard of. Okay, next slide. I blame this guy for what you might think about therapy. Okay, Sigmund Freud, if you don't know who that is. Just go to the next slide, Holly. Sigmund Freud actually was born in 1856, he died in 1939, and during his practice time, he is a psychologist, he actually worked with hypnosis. A lot of people say that he didn't like hypnosis. That wasn't the case. At the time, we didn't have the data, and what he was saying was when people are under hypnosis, it is so powerful that in the wrong hands, it could all go wrong. Hence the reason why he switched and started to do more psychoanalysis, so our thought rate, rather than going into the subconscious mind. But again, a lot of the stuff that we do around psychology comes from people like Freud. Yes, it has developed, but look when he died, 1939. If we were still running our businesses the way that they did in 1939, we probably wouldn't be working. If you go to the next slide. Okay, practical neuroscience. So let me give you a bit of science here. Research now, there's loads of research papers that are showing that hypnosis is extremely powerful when you combine it with elements like CBT, NLP, psychotherapy, and all that sort of stuff, which is what I do. These things here are called neurons. We have billions of them in our body. And the things that are connecting them are called synaptic connections. What actually happens in hypnosis when you work with me is that your view of the world is created by this operating system. What we do is we break the operating system down, so we put it into safe mode. Once we put it into safe mode, we then go and find the viruses, we run the virus scans on that. Then what we do is we upgrade the operating system, so now you have a different perspective of reality, and now you can install all the apps that you want in your life. Does that make sense? So how many of you here are still running Windows 95 in your businesses? How many of you here are still running still got a Windows mobile? None of you, because you upgrade your tech all the time, but how many of you upgrade your mind? Just a thought. Next one, please. Okay, so in short, hypnosis gets results quicker than other types of talking therapies, but the data around this, the neuroscience around this, is less than 10 years old. CBT, it took around 10 years before they even started to use CBT. You mentioned before, we have a mental health crisis. I was speaking to a lady the other day, and her daughter had slashed her wrists. The CAMS team spoke to her, and they said it would be 18 months before she'd be able to get a face-to-face appointment. But in 8 weeks, she could probably go on a Zoom group therapy session. The fact is that our mental health services, are not in a great shape. And the second thing is that we're using old methodologies to help people. And I can prove this on the NHS's website. They will say to you, we help you cope and manage. Think of it this way. You break your leg, you go to your doctor, and your doctor says, don't worry, you've got another leg. Just walk on the other leg with a crutch, and then come and talk to me every week, and we'll help you cope and manage. Anybody here would do that? No. There's no parity between mental health and physical health. And I could tell you a lot of the history around that, but actually going back to the Reformation around about 1500. My point is that to disrupt mental health, to help your businesses, to help the people in our communities, we need to change. So my dream is to redefine what mental health feels like. Next slide, Holly. Right, so just going back to it, this guy was right. Freud was correct in some way because hypnosis is powerful. It is super powerful. And the reason why we can't move forward is because we're wired for safety. And our mind loves the familiar. So trying to make change through willpower, trying to make change through thoughts is really, really difficult. What you need to do is, you need to find out why it is you can't feel safe, why it is you can't change that familiar pattern of behaviour. Next slide. I put together stronger. The reason why I joined the Chamber is because I want to help your businesses and the people, your families, your employees, anybody that's a human that you know, have a fulfilling life, to feel happy. And I think I've mentioned this before. I worked with a guy who was in the police, worked for Westminster Police. He was medically discharged from the police in 1996 with PTSD. He's been living a half-life ever since. And in one session, the PTSD went. And most people say that's impossible. Well, many years ago, they thought it was impossible to fly in the sky. Many years ago, we didn't have computers. When they came out, they said, we've got typewriters, why would we need computers? It's called progress. But as I said, the mind loves the familiar. So what I need your help with is to make hypnotherapy familiar to other people, so we can make the world and our communities a better place. Okay, so this is what I do. This is how I can help people. I do one-to-one therapy and coaching. So as part of my packages, I also do life coaching and transformation coaching, so that you might get this new for you, but how does that now work in the real world? How does that show up with that toxic boss? How does that show up with that mother-in-law? I'm not going to go into that. That's a recent thing. I can also help you, your teams, your families, and your friends, because when we understand how the mind works, we can communicate better. I do group coaching and therapy programs. On Sunday, I launch my Stepping Out of the Valley 5-week empowerment course. So that's one of the things that I do, is I do this 5-week empowerment course to show people how powerful they really are. So that's my groundbreaking empowerment program. If it's something that you're interested in, then let me know and I can give you the details. Have the next slide, please. I just want to play these for you. These are for my
What is the thing that was different, and why was the value there?
I think it's really important to understand that you can't put a price on your mental health. Obviously you need to go through it to understand exactly how important it is to get to the bottom of those problems.
My advice to you would be, just do it. Just do it, because you won't realise how much better you'll feel until you've been through it and done it.
This is resolving my issues and is enabling me to go forward. This is actually getting rid of the struggles and the toughness and the barriers and everything. It's actually getting rid of those things.
The answers are on the inside. It's not something you can just read up online and I found the answers to. The only way you'll find the answers is by looking into yourself.
So I've really enjoyed this, and thank you.
I would thoroughly recommend Marcus, because I just found him to be a very authentic, genuine and passionate person, and my goodness, is he passionate about what he does. So you know you're going to get the best. You can feel that. So I would absolutely recommend him. Amazing guy.
So, Andy Goff, those of you know from Interactive Solutions, I've actually worked with Andy, and he did say to me, if anybody were to chat to him, then please do today. But unfortunately, I know he's been held up, and that's why I put any questions, ask Andy, because I was then going to walk away at this point. But if any of you do want to get an independent review, Sarah from Thrive HR, I work with, which was part of a gift that I gave to BYM personnel when they did their rebrand. And as I say, I work with Andy, do the hypnotherapy, but also done some coaching after that around his business, around everything. So let's connect. You know, this is my website, these are all my details. As I say, I'm starting this program, stepkingoutofvalley.com. You can go there and find all the information. That starts on Sunday, so if anybody's interested, or you know anybody who wants to, you know, find out about building confidence, what fear is, what taking action is, what the choices that you can take in your life, how you can trust you can move forward, step forward. That's what that is. I also do a 2 to 3 hour transformation session now where you find out the root cause to why you feel the way you do. So it's massive value, but I'll just open the floor. Has anybody got any questions?